I think we got the best fans in the league. The Arrowhead carries the torch for being the best fans in the league. Some of the loudest ones and the most fun ones. So
The atmosphere, the fan base, the support groups had an impact on our season.
This fan base is dialed in.
Like I'm gassing you guys up and gassing up the state of Utah, but it's the truth. You guys have one of the best fan supporter groups.
I'm going home to play for my hometown team. Looking back to when I was 10 years old, that's every kid's dream.
Welcome to another episode of the Arrowhead podcast. We are your official podcast of the official supporter group of the Archers Lacrosse Club, and we are stoked to have with us tonight Rayn Stines, who we just literally 6 days ago drafted in second round pick, the 2026 draft from the University of Utah. Rayn, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, James.
All right, so like we start every episode, who is Rayn Stines? Tell everybody who you are. Give us your background.
Yeah, so born and raised in Cary, North Carolina. Spent, about 18 years there until I moved out to Utah to attend the University of Utah and play lacrosse. Obviously fell in love with lacrosse at a pretty young age. Around second grade, started playing, and as they say, it kind of takes you. It's a lifestyle, and I've certainly just kind of been chasing that dream of playing lacrosse at the highest level since then. So yeah, I think my family really defines me a lot. So I don't know what other directions to take it other than, certainly grew up in the North Carolina area and spent that time with my family and found lacrosse along the way. So that's certainly a big part of who I am, for sure.
I love that. So you started in second grade. How did you find lacrosse?
Yeah, so that's a unique one, I guess. A lot of families, I think it's a sport that's passed down a lot. For me, neither of my parents really knew much about it. My mom grew up in Tennessee and my dad moved around a bit, but was primarily in Florida. So they didn't have much exposure to it in the South, and we were actually on our way to a rec basketball game for myself, and I just saw lacrosse on a field being played out the window on the way, and immediately it was just like, Mom, Dad, can I get a stick? Can I try that out? What is this? So I went home and obviously hopped on YouTube and found out just what lacrosse was. I'm sure I knew a little bit about it prior, but to be honest, it was pretty luck of the draw to just drive by and be a little captivated by it.
That's the coolest story I think we've heard of somebody's introduction to lacrosse. I love that. And kudos to your parents, because I'm a parent who'd be like, sure, we'll talk about it. And then I'd be like, all right, we're already going to basketball. Let's figure something else out. Let's get his mind off it. But kudos to your parents for letting you go. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
So talk us through last week. Like I say, second round of the draft. We're at the draft party down at Legends Bar and Grill in downtown Salt Lake. And I get a text from the PLL, like, all right, you guys get ready to celebrate. We got a big one coming. And I'm like, oh, what is coming? And then we hear your name, University of Utah. And we're like, no way. This is awesome. We knew you were on the board at some point, but to have, Coach Bates select you was awesome. So walk us through that process. When did you kind of get the inkling, okay, this, going to the PLL is going to be a potential for me? And then when did you know kind of the Archers? And then what was that day like and sitting there in the room with your teammates?
Yeah, so it's a up and down ride throughout any college career. I think you find a little bit of success, and every season's up and down for really every team, so and every individual. So certainly just gaining traction as a player, and I think making progress throughout college, I started to think, okay, this childhood dream might be in reach, just through the years out here at the University of Utah. It had always been the dream, really. Even from when I was little, every kid wants to go to the NFL or MLB or whatever, when they're young. And for me, being a second grader at the time, that's probably what I wanted to do. But by the time I was in third or fourth grade, it was professional lacrosse that I wanted to do. So it had always been on my mind, but kind of got the inkling that was possible, um, throughout my college career. And then this year, you don't know going into it exactly what the turnout will be, but of course, sending out film throughout the year and just corresponding with different coaches through my own coaches, and directly, and you hear different things. Um, but really, yeah, I certainly have made it my priority, and I think a lot of staff members in the league respect that, and are certainly after guys who want to have a long career in the league. So um, that was certainly my goal, and through getting film out, I kind of had an idea going into the night that it could end up going away I would like, and it certainly did. Obviously, getting to represent the state of Utah, or continue to represent the state of Utah, and be an archer. So, yeah, certainly an honor and a day or a night that I'll always remember for sure.
I love that. I have like one follow-up question from that. So that, with the Utah Archers here, since the PLL, there's like you see kids walking around, and not necessarily like you see on the East Coast, but you see the lacrosse kids walking around. I think Brady ran into a kid like in Heba one time at a gas station wearing an Archers jersey, and it's like you start to see it, and you start to see these kids wearing the Archers jersey, and you get kids second grade, third grade, like you being like, I want to play for them in the PLL. My eighth grader wants to play as a pro. Like that's a goal. Like, what advice would you give to those kids at that age, second grade, third grade, high schoolers, being like, what advice would you give to them to be like, if that's your dream, you got to do these things?
Yeah, I think you could go a lot of directions with it, but I'll take the answer of, rather than kind of one or two things of I need to implement this into my routine or whatever. Of course, there's the skill training, and you got to take care of your nutrition or your weight room. When you're of the right kind of season of life to really dive into those things, they all matter for sure. Um, but I think especially like here in Utah and growing up in North Carolina, and feeling like I wasn't in a hotbed, and even for the kids who are growing up in hotbeds, and have people near them, or coaches that have done it, and played at the colleges they want to play at, or gone on to play pro, whatever it is. I think a lot of it's just enduring more than other people are maybe willing to.
Mm.
I think there's a lot of examples um, of players who just kind of endured the process, and there's a lot of late bloomers who end up becoming, the best players in the world. And there's a lot of vice versa who get early success and then maybe have dips along the road, injuries along the road, and then find success again down the road because of, just their persistence. So I think, just rolling with the punches, you can't sit on your high horse and say, I've rolled with every punch. Not many people can do that, and there's certainly some luck in the draw, and you certainly need a village to help you do things and find success. But something that's always helped me is just trying to trust the process and know that if I stick to this, my timeline might be different than another player out there, but if I can endure whatever is thrown at me and lean into the game and just try and enjoy it in those moments, I think that's the thing that gives you a true reward.
I don't think I've ever heard it that way before, but I really like that answer of being able to endure longer or just having that patience to go through things. I don't think we've ever gotten an answer like that before on the pod, so that was really cool to listen to.
Yeah.
Um, I just have a question. You kind of talked about just briefly representing the state of Utah. Obviously, that's very important for us, having been, I was born and raised in Utah, but I kind of want to know what your connection was to the state of Utah before you committed to the university. Did you have any connections to Utah, or was it really just going straight into the U of U, or what does that look like?
Yeah, zero connection whatsoever, actually. I really just went through the recruiting process. And back in whatever time period that was, kind of the September of my junior year. Um, Coach Holman and Coach Manny and Coach Marcus Holman were out here, and Coach Gittleman as the staff. So I got recruited and actually committed to that staff.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
they parted ways kind of right before I came out here to play. And obviously, Coach Holman's now with the Boston Cannons, and Coach Manny just joined him as their OC. So yeah, I really just kind of fell in love with the state, the mountains, and the school, and committed to that staff with the hope of just making an impact at the University of Utah. Um, their vision and the vision that we still have with Coach McMahon, and something he's carried on, and certainly implemented as just an expectation to really do something new, and achieve something, and get to a place that this program has never been. So that was always the dream, and kind of what got me to commit to Utah was there would be something special about getting to the tournament for the first time, which we did as a class, or the senior class a few years ago, in my redshirt freshman year, and then we did again, and now we're looking to push past that even further. So that really got the juices flowing, and the motivation going for sure. So that certainly brought my word to commit to them. So
Cool. So let me see if I could dive in a little bit deeper if you'll let me on this. But you commit to Coach Holman, and was it mainly them? Were they the main reason why you were going to head out to the University of Utah? Because I mean, it's a far cry from North Carolina, so that's a huge decision. And then finding out that they weren't going to be the coaching staff, that must have been a big change, right? Because especially if the reason you were going was for them, and then still deciding to stay and go regardless of who the next coaching staff was going to be. So, do you mind if I kind of pick you a little bit more on that?
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I think a big part was their recruitment of me, and just their vision of me. I think um, something I was told throughout the recruiting process is something to just consider was go where they want you.
Hmm.
And I felt wanted. I felt like they had a role for me, not in waiting, but like available to earn. They were looking for a player like myself in my class to come in and find success for them. So it really lined up as a good situation, and um, you know, being from North Carolina, and certainly I grew up 10 minutes from Duke and UNC, and I went to every one of those home games growing up. So I had dream schools, and I had dream schools I didn't hear from, plenty of them. And obviously Utah being a newer program, um, it wasn't on my radar growing up, but that opportunity was presented to me, and it was something unique, and it was something that I was pretty certain I would wake up daily with a pretty intense desire to work for it. And that was special. It was a kind of a gut feeling, and also through the relationships I made in the recruiting process. And then thankfully, obviously there was uncertainty when the coaching staff departed, and things were just switched up all of a sudden. But thankfully, the staff that has come in, and I can't say enough good things about them. They certainly took me in, um, and guided me through the process in a way that I wouldn't have even imagined. So um, certainly panned out in a way that I can have a lot of appreciation for.
That's awesome. It's just fun for us because, like, I don't know if James is gone, but like, I've got to go and watch some of your guys' home games. And as a kid, I wouldn't have dreamed of having a D1 professional or a D1 program close to us, right? Or a
Yeah.
professional team either. So, talk to us about just briefly, has Utah won you over? What does that look like? Because now you're representing them for 4 years at the university, but now you're going to be representing Utah at the professional level. So I really want to hear about that as well.
Yeah, I mean, the state as a whole has certainly won me over. I mean, it's just gorgeous. Um, yeah, I couldn't be more grateful to spend 4 years here. My parents would probably joke with you if they talked to you, but I haven't really gone home for a full summer since I came out here. Um, One, because obviously with training and weight room access and facilities out here, it really gives you the opportunity to put in the work with very little hassle of finding fields and equipment and balls and whatnot. So that's been certainly a blessing of its own is the kind of off season segments out here in Utah. Um, but part of that is also my parents love to come out and visit here, just because it's such a beautiful state, and a place to be in the summer, the winter. I mean, it's got it all. So yes, I think it's safe to say it's won me over. I'll be living here um, until something changes. So the plan is to be around for quite a while.
I think you'll be the first, if maybe I'm wrong on this, I think you're going to be the first archer living out here in Utah, which is huge for us. And that's something I've been hoping for a long time. Am I wrong on that, James?
Brett Dobson moved out here a while ago, like
Are you
about a month
serious?
and a half ago. He moved out here, yeah. So
I had
Dob is
no
out here
idea
too.
Brett moved
He's
out
just
here.
splitting time between here and Georgia because he can't stop winning with the Swarm. So yeah,
Cool.
Yeah, that's
Wow,
right.
that's legit. Okay. I didn't know that. So, and I'm just gonna one question, sorry, but this is my last one. I'll hand it back off to James. Um, what has been your favorite place to visit? Like Zion's, Moab? I don't like what things have you visited out in Utah that you've been like, oh, this is gorgeous or this was cool? I would love to hear that.
Yeah, great question. I think I've been to most of the ones you guys are probably thinking of or expecting me to say. They're also different. I mean, I think Zion is pretty incredible. Just the sheer size
Yeah.
of everything there. It is, um, it's tough to comprehend, and it's gorgeous. I might go with Moab just because that was the first um, kind of park I went to when I came out to Utah. We drove down to Moab, and I think that was really cool. It's different, obviously, because it's um, southern. It's so hot down there. It's that true desert that is certainly much more intense than Salt Lake City. But um, I think that one just because it was the first thing that I went to go check out. But to be honest, like being 20 minutes away from some of these hikes and views in Salt Lake City, I mean, I'll take I'll take that just as much as I'll take a full trip down to a park. That's for sure. So
Yeah.
you know, it's pretty unreal how accessible all of that is.
Yeah, it's unreal.
That's something you kind of have to adjust to. It doesn't feel real at first.
Yeah. It's
I'm
just a
still
drive
getting
up a
used to it.
canyon.
I'm
Yeah,
still
it's
getting
cool.
used to
Yeah,
it. 20 something years later, still getting used to it.
yeah.
Ryan, I have to tell you, I almost forgot to tell you this. I am a diehard BYU fan. I adopted BYU when I came out here. My wife's family big BYU fans. And for the first time ever at our draft party, I threw up this sign for the first time ever. And I'm like, I think a part of my father-in-law's soul maybe died at that moment in time, but I'm
Yeah.
like, gotta represent the U. So you got me. I gotta say that.
Well,
Um,
thank you. That means a lot. Yeah.
so thoughts on being able to play here in Utah in front of a pro crowd? I mean, I don't know if you've been to the games when they've been out here, but their thoughts on like being on that field in front of us, going bonkers. Give us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been to everyone since I've came out here. At least everyone I've been able to. I haven't had a conflict with. So catching those games are always awesome. I've certainly been a fan of the league before I've been, you know, um, entering the ranks or whatever you want to say. So I mean, I'm just excited. I mean, I'm sure you could expect that, but it's as simple of an explanation as I could think of. I'm sure the nerves and the just the length of time that you imagine playing in the pros or whatever. I'm sure I can't really comprehend and have that click yet, but the excitement is through the roof, and I think really, um, with guidance and being told to just kind of focus on my college season for now. I don't get to think about it too much yet because I've got a lot to focus on, but when the time comes, that'll certainly be special and one of those things you can't really put into words at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess that brings up the next question because when the league was announced this year and the schedule was announced, it was like, we're starting on May 9th in Utah. We're like, yes, we get the opening weekend. Then we're like, well, who's going to be here? Got NLL guys playing. They're not sure who's going to be there. We're kind of getting a
Yeah.
picture of that now. But then we're like, well, crap, the draft is going to happen and guys are still going to be playing. Like, where are you? I'm assuming you're hoping to still be playing college at that point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And even talking with Coach Bates and just getting kind of the go ahead, like focus on your college season and um, we'll figure it out when that ends. Obviously, they're rooting for us and yeah, it'll to be honest, you kind of want to miss as much of the rookie season as you can, just being a college player, but um, at the same time, you are as excited um, to join your new squad for sure. So it's a funny balance, but at the same time, they push us and everything's focused on the college season and until it wraps up. So like I said before, you just have so much to focus on that things don't really click and stuff isn't added to your schedule much until you're all wrapped up. So we certainly hope to make the Utes fans proud this season as we wrap up as a senior class and hopefully push that date as far as possible into May.
Excited for that for you, gutted for us, but excited for you. So yeah, it's going to be exciting to watch, and it's great. Like as much as we love the Archers and what it does for the sport, it's also great to see you guys have a good run because I know so many kids that go. I've coached youth for a long time, and so many of the kids that go and watch you guys on a Saturday, and love to see that, and again get inspired to be there. So excited for that run. And last question in this section: you're on the Tewaaraton watch list last year. How was that for you? I mean, obviously, like to be recognized at that level. Like, talk to us about being on that list last year.
Yeah, I think I try not to look into too many lists and recognitions, honestly. Obviously, it's an honor to be added to any list. There's been times in my career where, you know, and times in anyone's career, you think you're deserving of one thing, you're left off, or you're added to one thing, and you don't even think you're at the top of your game at that point. So, there's so many ups and downs, and honestly, a lot of times the recognition doesn't come when you think it should, and when it does come, you're almost not surprised, but you know the reason for that is if you're treating every week the same and your preparation um, doesn't falter, then that's the answer. So that's something I kind of it's coach speak for sure, but that it's kind of been instilled in me, and I think you know focusing on stuff like that, while it is certainly an honor, and I kind of leave it to my parents to enjoy that stuff. Um, and you always set higher goals too. You know, being on a watch list only means so much. And getting to win another conference title and get to the NCAAs is
We lost your audio, I think. We lost your audio there, Ryan.
Can you guys hear me?
I got you now.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. I'll I'll ditch the headphones. But my point being, I know it's coach speak, but just kind of focusing on the team stuff is much more important. And we instill that in every guy in our program. Um, when recognition comes out to anyone, it's not really brought up too much. You just kind of are in the flow of a scout, or if it's in the fall, you're in the flow of testing each other and competing. So I think that's what it's all about. And yeah, I'd say that's my answer for you.
Love it. Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just been so fun to get to know you and get to know kind of your mindset. We can tell that you're very team oriented. Um, I would love to hear kind of some of your expectations for this coming rookie year. You've mentioned chatting with Coach Bates on draft night. Who did you kind of hear from? Kind of give us that transition from, okay, like I'm going to be joining this team after my college season. And what are you anticipating?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really just excited. I think like I mentioned, a lot of it's, focus on your college season. So that's exactly what I'm doing. Try not to look ahead too much, but um obviously it was great to talk to Coach Bates afterwards. I think he kind of had been watching me for a few years now, obviously, especially being out here in Utah, or coaching the Archers. And there's not direct affiliation, but they're certainly watching some Utes games, and it's been fun to see that come to fruition. Um, Hearing Coach Bates talk just about uh, his expectations and the way that they're drafting for and preparing to play in a fast-paced style, obviously taking McGuire first, and just the depth they have at D midi and or really two-way midi, and the speed and athleticism they have there, and then the creativity that they have down on offense, and the versatility in and out of the box and at attack. And um, my expectation is just to give my all to the opportunity I'm given. And I think if I had to guess, and um, not talking too much about the summer yet, but having some versatility above and behind the cage, I think can translate really well to the league. And that's certainly something I've made an intention in my game, especially since getting to college. Honestly, with the PLL in mind, and in some cases, because I knew that was always certainly a dream of mine. So, I'm sure that's an asset that they look for. I know they have plenty of players right now that are actively using similar assets at an elite level. You could go down their roster, and they certainly have a lot of that. So, I'd say that's what I'm excited for, is just to make the adjustment as best I can. And it's a fast-paced league, and then if we're going to play fast and make some adjustments, I'm excited to see what those look like.
I think you're one of the most unique players, especially on the Archers, but having gone to some of those home games, like Archer home games,
Mhm.
and being in that environment, cheering the Archers on. Now you're going to be on the field playing with a lot of those guys that you've been cheering on, and that's not very common for a lot of the PLL players. So I think that's really cool that you're going to have that experience of being at the Archers home field and then playing at their home field eventually, which will be really cool.
Mhm. Yeah, I second that for sure. Um, it will certainly, yeah, it'll be interesting. Obviously, I hope to be in the NCAAs at the time.
Yeah,
But
that's
that'll
why I
be,
said eventually.
yeah,
Eventually, you'll
eventually.
be out there with us.
Yeah. I know they're back out there again later and into the playoffs and whatnot, but yeah, that would certainly be a special one. And I vividly remember being there, watching those games, and even just last year's setting, and hoping to be playing there, and not knowing if it would be as an Archer by any means, but just hoping to be a part of it, and to be able to continue to play this game, and reach a level that I've always wanted to. So that will certainly be surreal, at any location, but Obviously you hear the archers, the current archers, and prior archers talk about the environment there, and they're right. It is a very electric, well-sized venue that the fans certainly show out for. And it's really cool. I mean, obviously you guys know, but the growth of sport here has been very, very rewarding to watch, and it's certainly a visible picture of that at that venue. So absolutely.
Yeah, it's a fun thing to be a part of that, and you touched on a couple of things I want to talk about. Like one is the growth of the sport here in Utah, and certainly the PLL is a huge part of that. Like the visibility of the game and getting kids access, but like they got the PYLL now that's running, and got kids playing in that throughout the year, and then the Rabels are putting on like youth trips to Australia, like if kids want to be a part of, they should absolutely look into that. Like for tremendous opportunity to grow the game, and I love that part of kind of what the PLL is doing and growing that grassroots. I think you're part of Summit, right? Is that correct?
Yes, I have been a part of it at times when I've been able to fit it into the class schedule. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like to see teams like Summit, like just the elite level and going and playing around the country and winning tournaments, like it's great to see that growth coming from Utah. So I love that. As we wrap up here, Ryan, I mean, you mentioned your family being important to you, a huge thing. Coach Bates is kind of a culture guy, and when we talk to the Rabels and we talked to Mike, and he kind of told us like Utah, the Archers, based on a lot of the guys on the team, were a great fit for Utah because of the values we hold here in Utah. And talk to us a little bit about kind of your love for family, how that fits on the team, and how you feel you fit in there.
Yeah, I think growing up in my particular family, I just feel very fortunate to have been born into my family. We I think they've just been great examples showing me, you know, probably the best lesson is how to have priorities that are fulfilling and worthwhile, and um just align with your beliefs and your values and just everything you speak of. I think it aligns a lot with locker rooms, and I'm sure that's why I feel at home in locker rooms, and probably want to continue to spend time in those team environments, and building off of obviously a culture and relationships where you kind of want the best for each other, and you're trying to build towards something special. So I think my parents probably raised me to be, kind of a low key, quiet person. And that comes with a lot of, I think, reflection, and in a lot of ways, that can sort of align with a culture or just the makeup of a team, because there's intentionality there. That's something I try and pride myself in, and I think my family's instilled in me. Just be intentional, and when you're taking the time to think and consider things and how they're affecting moving pieces within a team, or obviously within a family, and in that scenario, I think that's how you kind of find something of value, something worth working for. So I think obviously not being integrated yet into the Archers culture or locker room, I can only speak to it so much, but what I'd add is certainly to any locker room is just a presence that's intentional and rooted in wanting to be really, really great and reaching that at some point. Um, whether it comes easy or it takes a little bit of work over the years. So that's certainly something I mentioned it before, but just being excited to make that adjustment and implement myself into the team and into the league, and get those opportunities. That's something I've always been excited for, and I think my family's built me into those roles with just a preparation for it. I've certainly have them to thank for a lot of, or really any success that I've found at any level. It can certainly be traced back to them, along with the coaches that brought me up, and teammates and experiences along the way. So Yeah, on blank notice and not much exposure to it yet. That's what I'm coming up with for now. But I think intentionality probably summarizes it pretty well.
I love that. Okay, final question. I really have, I promise.
Oh yeah, no
Who'd you
worries.
talk to first, mum or dad, when you got drafted? Who'd you talk to first?
Joint call, all three of us on there on a little FaceTime. It was it was a little delayed because of like the watch party that our team held for us for myself and my teammate Nico, um, who got picked up by the Atlas as well. And it was a little delayed just because we were in that room and I got drafted. Obviously had that moment and got to share that with my teammates, my coaches. But we were kind of locked in to the draft, waiting for Nico's name to be called and thinking it was coming pretty soon. So, yeah, I kind of had to lock back in and make sure I was there. I was sitting right next to him. So, um, I mean, that was an amazing moment as well. And just being able to be there for that. So the call with the parents was a little delayed. It came right after, but it was certainly a special one. Not much, really great conversation, probably just a lot of uh, a bit of emotion there. But it was certainly cool to talk to them in that moment, see their faces and experience that for sure.
Awesome. And then, props to Nico as well. Like, congrats to him, and commiserations to him on not being the first player from the University of Utah that will win a championship this year. So
Yeah,
that's
right. That's
you're
right.
going to do it. So it's like, too bad.
Yeah.
You're going to miss out on
Yeah,
that
too
one.
bad.
So
Absolutely.
Ryan, we appreciate you being on, giving us your time. I know it's a busy time of year for you. We're going to leave you with a commitment that you're going to commit to. You're going to do two things before we talk again. So we're going to talk again at the end of the season. By that point, you're going to have won an NCAA championship and you're going to win a PLL title in the same year.
All right.
So
Yeah,
let's just
that
commit to
sounds
those
good to
things. We
me.
can all agree that's going to happen and we'll move on. So
Yeah,
good.
absolutely. For Utah, that's for sure.
Yeah, sounds great. Again, Ryan, best of luck with the rest of the college season. And we hope you win a lot of games. And we also are okay if you don't win a lot of games because it means you get to see you play in the Archers colors a lot quicker. But yeah, best of luck with the rest of the season and excited to see your rookie year kick off with a bang. Ryan, want to take us out? Oh, Brady, want to take us out? Sorry.
Oh yeah, of course. Anyway, yeah, we appreciate it, Ryan. Thank you so much for coming on, and above all else, win, man. And that includes you Utes. So go out there, go and have a good tournament, man.
Yeah, we'll do. I appreciate the good wishes and yeah, pleasure to be on and chat with you guys. Glad to put some names to the faces or faces to the names and yeah, go Archers. I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Yeah,
Yep.
sounds good. All right, we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks, everyone.
All right, see ya.
This podcast is not affiliated with the Premier Lacrosse League or Archers Lacrosse Club. This is an independent, fan-run podcast.
The arrowhead we aim, we fly through the chaos guns.